Hey, what's up? So, I just want to say these things before I get started on my testimony, just to kind of like explain things to people. I work at night, so that's the reason why I'm recording my testimony at night. Um, and I apologize if, I don't come off super emotional, but I'll try to say things in my testimony describing my past to help people understand, why I might come off empathetic or something like that, or having a lack of empathy. So, trying not to go over like my whole past and use a lot of unnecessary time with this video. Um, Going far back as I can remember, um, I just remember only having like a few people in my life that gave me a sense of family and companionship when I was really young. And a mix of that is I just remember being in a crossfire of like a lot of hatred and unhealthy, what's the word for it, competitiveness amongst my family. Um, and I can just remember a lot of people doing things out of spitefulness and revenge and unforgiveness. And I knew that like certain people would act nice or appear nice in certain situations, but I was also there for when say like my mother and other people were struggling through hardships, and they just seemed to get by it alone, and um, not really showing me as a young child overcoming hardships with other people. um, Oftentimes I would find myself being hurt and afflicted because of what other people have done to either my parents or other family. And so that was most of my life as a young child. Um, when I went to school, I found like kids and teachers and stuff just taking things out on me and other kids like me. And kids try to bully me. They try to say oh, like when you weren't here, you missed school, things were amazing and great. And just me trying to be myself, like I could see that a lot of kids were stereotypically predictable. Like they would, like groups of people would think the same way or be talking about the same stuff, and I just never was a part of that. um and so growing up, I always felt like I was at a place like I didn't belong in any type of group. Like I would have my few friends, and you know that was pretty much it. I didn't really get along with anyone else. You know, a lot of times I wouldn't have peace at home. I would go to school, I wouldn't have peace there. And then it was just like by hanging out with some of my friends, going outside every now and then, that was my only peace or good times as a younger child. And I remember as I got older, certain family members that again gave me that sense of family to begin with were also getting older, getting into different kinds of activities, and further separating themselves. Like they just people started vanishing from my life one by one. I just found myself being stuck with homework, being told what I constantly failed and lacked in. I wanted to be happy and content with my life. I was similar to, like, if you watch anime, like how Naruto was when he was a younger child, where he would cause some trouble and stuff just to, like, get attention, joke around and just make corny jokes. Like, I just wanted to, laugh and just have a good time and stuff, and I got rebuked and made fun of and literally called, like, the class clown for a lot of years, um, because there was just a lot of pain in my heart, um, a lot of loneliness, and so, like, it got to a point where, like, I was being put on punishment and stuff, often not being able to go anywhere on the weekends. Like, I just love seeing my dad on the weekends, and we would play video games and stuff. And for the longest standing time and stuff, like, my dad really seemed to be my only friend and stuff. And so, like, when I was taken away and, like, I couldn't go outside, I couldn't socialize. Hold on one second. Yeah, like, when I wasn't allowed to socialize, I just found myself, like almost like in prison. Um, Started getting depressed, and then, like, I started coming up with imaginary friends and stuff like that, because I just had, like, a lack of social interactions. And then there's people that already didn't really want to talk to me to begin with. Um, so, like, I started developing, like, personality disorder, and like, I always, like, was took into church and stuff sometimes, like, growing up too. And, like, just to kind of throw this in there, like, in between, like, the weekend, sometimes going to church, like, I always felt that, um, Christianity was true. Like, I could kind of see evidence of that. And, like, sometimes I would watch certain movies for comfort. And I remember watching Hercules and Aladdin and, certain Disney movies like Tarzan, like that. But the only movie that, like, I, like, really enjoyed with my heart and just felt like it was true was, like, this VHS movie of, it was just called Jesus. And I watched it, like, a handful of times, being, like, 6, 7 years old or something like that. And, like, Jesus Christ was probably, like, my first unknowing hero, or, like, basically, like, someone that I looked up to. And then, my mother did do a sinner's prayer with me, I believe, when one church service. I did accept Jesus Christ in my heart. I didn't quite know, like, what true salvation and stuff, like, what went into it, and, like, why we are saved because of Jesus' death. But I did remember, accepting and believing that he did live perfectly, was the Son of God, and died and rose from the dead. But, like, it was like church didn't, make me, like, feel comfortable, or, like, it didn't help me to endure through, like, the weekdays and all that bullying and stuff that I went through, and family troubles. So as time also went by, I kind of, like, drifted farther away, because it just seemed like they was either talking about prosperity, or, like, telling you, like, how you should think and handle things, like, knowing about demons and stuff like that sometimes. But there was no, like, substance in it. Like, it just felt like there was a lack of purpose in terms of, like, like learning the faith and knowing how to defend it, and like just I just felt like there was no foundation, for me. Like even when I went to youth and stuff like that, like I can't really remember where like things went wrong, but it didn't help me because I was just going through like a lot of depression, and um I mean, I don't know, I wasn't taught like how to pray and spiritual warfare like that, and so it just there was times where I did try praying and stuff like that, but it just felt like God wasn't really trying to help me through what I was going through growing up and all the loneliness. So eventually, because like I was watching like shows and cartoons of people that resonated with me and like the pains and struggle that I went through, I kind of like just forgot about what Jesus went through and how he can resonate with um, people who suffer and go through trials and hardships too. Um, the only difference is though between the people I watch in shows and cartoons versus like Jesus is like when people in shows conquer their hardships and trials, is like it involves them like defeating someone or taking out a person, and that will basically end some portion of the problem. And it's like with Jesus, it's like you know he just dies on the cross to save people's like eternal souls and stuff like that. But it's like stuff goes on, and it's like I was never taught the significance and importance of that. So it's just like when I be seeing like people take vengeance for like their families being killed or like oppression and stuff like that, it's like you're shown the physical results and fruits of that. So over time, it's like I started looking up to certain characters that did that, and it's just like I started looking up towards fictional characters and stuff to actually get things done in their world. And over time, that's just like what I wanted to be. I just wanted to be someone who can get all his problems answered, not realizing that the people that cause you affliction and stuff like that are being influenced and manipulated by demons and principalities. Um, but because there was like a lot of mix of things going on, like school and knowing the importance of like getting through education and not getting involved in delinquency, there was like basically a mental conflict within my own mind, because a part of me developing like split personality disorder wanted to like be really strong, and though and the people who like try to, what's the word for, like try to hurt me or manipulate me or make me feel like crap every day, like I just want to be that person that just physically harmed people and make people fear me so that no one would dare to bother me, so I can get through life and all my other problems and stuff like that. So then eventually, like I think around like age 12 or 13 and stuff, it was like I was inside my house more than ever, um, just not being comforted at all, and like constantly being told what I'm doing wrong. I felt like I was never doing anything right. I hated school. Um, I was living with my mom and stuff at the time. My mom and dad were separate, and like I just I felt like I was alone, and they were there like not helping me at all in terms of like just feeling like a family that cares and stuff, and you know constantly like just feeling like I'm letting people down, and me and myself not ever being like really lifted up. um I just started like legit hearing voices and stuff because like I was already talking to myself when I was alone. Um, and like I just started hearing stuff like of it saying to me like, you know, you're meant for greatness, and none of these people can see your potential or talent, but I can, and I care about you, and will offer you power to help you succeed and be happy in life. But you know, basically, like you being you being with other people and stuff will only lead to you being unhappy in a nutshell. And like my vision and stuff would literally like kind of like turn to a shade of red every time like I would hear this voice like very clearly. And like I just remember like having some dreams of like basically like a man with a goat's or like a ox's head come into my dreams. Um, Sometimes like I would see things out of the corner of my eye, and like I felt like for a long time growing up as a child, especially like I wasn't alone when I thought I was alone. And so because I felt like I had no one to turn to and stuff like that, I just basically offered for this voice and stuff to come to into my life and make me powerful. And I was only like 13 when this happened. I just remember like I was in my room, it was dark and stuff, and I started like learning to feel comfortable in darkness, and I didn't feel comfortable in the light. And there was like a darker shadow and stuff that like kind of like engulfed me. And so from that point forward, it was like I started to have like more concrete, violent thoughts of like what to do to people, and like started getting like more dialogue inside my mind about like what to study, and how to like also work with like the spiritual realm to get the things that I wanted, and how to make my life more easier and helpful. And so in a result of that, like I started having dreams of like a doppelganger version of myself. And like there would be times when I would be going through something with somebody, and like I would literally act like a whole different person and stuff like that. Like I eventually started having an identity crisis because in the back of my mind and stuff like that, like um Jesus was basically always there like holding me back, um because of him having like an early introduction in my life. And so like there was this conflict between me and basically like my violent thoughts towards other people, because I could still think through it, and I knew that like I wanted to have a prosperous life, and I knew certain things like would hinder that, or make me end up in jail and stuff like that. So I fell into a deeper depression, and then like just started like feeling like I needed to have a relationship or something like that. And so I started trying to like to have a girlfriend and be in relationships, but it's just like it was just like a lot of relationships would be like an appetizer or a tease to me in some way, shape, or form, and they weren't truly fulfilling. So then it started evolving to sex. Well, it was like, well, if I can't have a fulfilling relationship and stuff like that, maybe I'll just have sex and stuff like that, because I was already seeing that from like my dad and mother and stuff. And I figured like since my life is already so crappy and unfulfilling, and like I was already starting to feel bad about trying to be a jokester or just make myself feel happy at times. So I was just like, let me just get out of sex. So then like I started having sex because, like a lot of people were talking about it and like acting like it was so glorious and stuff. And I was just like, since these people seem like they're so fulfilled in life and act like, sex is the answer and stuff like that, I was like, let me take that from them, because just, I don't know, for some reason I had this anger towards people who, like, I could tell they seemed like they was content with life or fulfilled and stuff, but like had sadness or something inside. So something, basically like the voice in my head was telling me like, just take whatever energy out of them through sex and stuff. And so I did, and like it just made me more emotional and feel more vulnerable in some weird way that I can't really describe. I'm trying to think. So I found myself like searching through girl after girl, trying to find like this fulfilling relationship to kind of like help me get through, like my troublesome life. And and in return, I just found myself becoming more and more unstable. And like basically like it got to a point like after like getting some STDs like chlamydia and stuff like that, like I just started to like resent and hate people to like a degree that only can be compared to like how a demon might feel towards the human race. Because at this point in time, like when I was like 16, 17 years old, I'm just like, I just wanted to have some kind of support or family that like would help me feel better about my life. And like, I did. It wasn't like I had no one. I did have some people that were there and taught me some valuable things, but they would end up, dying or getting addicted to some kind of drug. And there was more times than not where I just found myself alone, wondering why it seemed like the world hated me, why I was like such an outcast to society. And so like just started realizing like, I hate people because people only care about what makes them happy. They end up going towards like stuff or things. Um, they act happy when they're miserable, and then they take it out on you. Um, when it seems like you need people and stuff like that, like, they'll always be cutthroat to you, like even when you're going through a very vulnerable moment. Just so many things. But I was antisocial at this point in time, and it just seemed like it only matters about like what you have to offer in society that really like gives you your worth, what skin color you are, what race you are, um, stuff like that. So then basically like coming out of high school and stuff, I thought, at least I won't have to deal with school and, having to do homework and stuff like that, uh, worrying about trying to please my parents and stuff. So I was like, I can go on my own. uh, I was trying to go to the army and stuff and go through college and stuff after I finished my um, go to college after I finished my service, get the GI Bill. I was already practicing like let's see here, reading aura, um, because of that pact that I made when I was really young. Like for some reason I was finding it that whenever I had like really strong feelings towards someone, like hatred or something like that, like I remember like basically the voice telling me, do you want me to go after this person, or like I would basically like hear stuff about the future. I would have dreams of the future, and I could tell throughout growing up that I would some kind of like empath or something like that, but it was only mainly towards like future apparitions and stuff. So like whenever someone had already ill thoughts towards me, something really bad would happen to them later after like we ended up not being friends or not talking to afterwards. I remember like stuff would get thrown at people like if they were in my room, and let's just say that they weren't really genuine friends like towards me in the inside of their hearts or something like that. Like stuff would literally get thrown at them that was like perfectly sitting on my dresser, like you know for weeks or something like that. And so basically like coming out of high school, like trying to go into the army and stuff like that, like there was this one girlfriend that I had at the time where she said like she basically could see like another me or something like laying in the bed by me. And but she said basically like it was with me but with like ox eyes or something, and like it really terrified her or something. So then like while I was going through my last year of high school, like I was having like a lot of dreams about like me seeing another me, um, and like basically like trying to attack me or like trying to overtake me, because like it was like that violent side of me wanted to be the dominant personality, and I didn't know who I was really supposed to be. I felt like I wasn't sure if the violent thoughts I was having or the angry feelings I was having was really me, or if I was meant to be like a good person of what I thought was supposed to be a good person. But then there's just like again the backbone and stuff was Jesus Christ, and there was some knowledge spilling in and stuff, and so like I had like a mix of good knowledge with evil knowledge. And so as I was like training um, for the army and stuff, I found myself having cancer, and it was like before I got to the hospital, it was already like stage 3 testicular cancer. So um, I felt like really sad and depressed around that time of my life, because I was just wondering, why did things get this bad for me when like, I went through my childhood the best way that I could, and like I might have hurt some people emotionally or something like that, but I never did the things I actually wanted or felt like I wanted to do towards people. And my life up to this point had already felt like very unfulfilling and very crappy. And so like I really didn't mind if I had died from cancer around that time. And one of the people that like I wanted to marry and stuff around when I was like 16, leading up to I think I was like 19 when this happened. Like I really legit wanted to marry and stuff, but she had changed and even made fun of me for having cancer. And so like that was probably like the worst time of my life. And it was so bad to the point where, because like I was trying to get through with her by talking to her through text, because we had like a long distance relationship for the most part. And I cried so hard, and basically like forced a false reality in my mind where she had died for me to accept that she was gone, because it hurt so much. Um, but for some reason, like a lot of people who kind of like knew me for a bit of time and stuff like that, like prayed for me, got their youth groups to pray for me. I believed that my school and stuff prayed for me and had a moment of silence. And there were some people like my mom and some uh, aunties and stuff. And I wondered, I was just like, you know, why is it that people who don't really know who I am really, or know what really goes on inside my mind and heart, want me to live so bad? Because I really had no care about my life after that point, because the little hope that I had of going to the army and stuff was already like torn to shambles. And so like for some reason there was like a calm voice in my head, just telling me that I just needed to grow in knowledge. And like even at this point I didn't think immediately to um, go to God and like dedicate my life or more of my life to Jesus Christ and stuff, because I didn't really have no one giving me valuable information on how and why I should do that. I had like no mentorship, really. So I just started learning all kinds of things, like stuff with like meditation, stuff with Buddhism, and just learning how to feel whole but like okay with hardship in my life, and just having like a sound mind, and just getting into the habit of learning things and gathering knowledge. And like a lot of wrathful things that was inside my mind was starting to calm down, and like I was still having sex and fornication, but it was happening less, and I was finding more reasons why I shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. um so like I was trying to find more meaning in life, and like being content and finding value in the few friends that I had. And then it's just like, as me and my friends got older and stuff, like they started either like abandoning me without reason or explanation, taking advantage of me, and really like not trying to